The regular meeting to order at exactly 7 o'clock. If we could have the roll call, please.
Okay, Councilmembers Powers. Here. Singleton.
Here.
Shelton. Cruz.
Here.
Payne.
Here. At this time, I would invite you to join me in a moment of silent prayer, and that will be followed by the flag salute by PAC 84, Den 1.
Attention. Audience, please rise. Color guard, advance. Color guard, post colors. Salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard dismissed.
Let's settle down. Before we get started tonight, I would like to acknowledge that we have a distinguished guest with us, Councilwoman Sophia Sherman from Elk Grove. If you'd like to stand up. Thank you for coming. Now, would you read the video statement, please?
This meeting of the Galt City Council is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and SureWest cable systems. Tonight's meeting can be seen on Channel 14 and will also be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv this Friday and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Tonight's meeting can also be seen via live video streaming on the city's website at www.ci.galt.ca.us. A DVD copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. Members of the audience wishing to address council should fill out a speaker identification form and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing council and state your name for the record. Also, please silence any phones. Thank you.
At this time, I would ask the council if there are any agenda additions or deletions, or would you like to pull anything from the agenda?
Yes. Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull E5, please, for discussion.
E5?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Then I'm going to pull E3 for discussion. Any presentations?
Presentations. We have 2 presentations tonight. Our first one is from Darla Klooster on the Commission on Aging.
Good evening. My name is Darla Klooster, and as a longtime member of the Council's Commission on Aging, I would like to talk to the Council and audience tonight as a representative of the Aging Commission. The Galt Commission on Aging strives to provide value and respect for the seniors of our community. Our mission is to enrich the lives of seniors through supporting and assisting them in finding appropriate information, resources, events, or services that can guide them. To keep the goals of our mission is an ongoing attempt to be the eyes and ears of the Galt community. We do this in several ways. First of all, we meet the fourth Thursday of every month at 5:15 in the evening at the Park and Recreational Building. At this time, all seniors are welcome. They come to let us know of their problems, needs, or desires of living in our city. And then, as a committee, we work to dissolve these problems or create these needs. To create the best quality of life for our seniors, we need to be in their environment. We need to hear what they have to say, as well as to bring them current, permanent, and pertinent information. To accomplish this, we visit the senior mobile home complexes and home parks in the Galt area on a regular basis. We attend senior classes, clubs, and events in Galt, as well as invitational functions in other communities. We are always striving to keep updated so that we can provide our city seniors with the best of information. In fact, we are currently working on a resource guide for seniors, a book that will tell them at their fingertips all that this city and surrounding areas have to offer for them, whether that be transportation, protection, direction, medical, or activities, and the list goes on. As you can imagine, to do these things takes many volunteer hours. In addition, it takes money. In the past, senior club memberships, refreshments for all of our senior home park informational meetings, classes, and all transportation for the commission has been out of our own personal pockets. These costs keep going up. For instance, I think that everybody in this room can relate with the cost of gas. It is at this time, on the behalf of the Aging Commission, I would like to address the City Council. I would like you to assist your Aging Commission in their financial needs. We are proposing a simple $500 for the from the Commission on an annual basis. Accurate expense records will be kept so that this can be adjusted on a yearly basis. I am sure that not just the Commission, but all of us in our great city of Galt want the best for our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, next presentation is our Finance Department cost plan. Donna Cruz, or Inez, next time.
Oh, that's fine. No, the presentation will actually be made by Donna Crew, the County Manager of the Finance Department, and she will be assisted by Parul Patel with Maximus, our independent consultant on the cost plan.
Screen.
And I do believe that there are some handouts for some members of the audience if you're interested in following along with the hard copy versus the PowerPoint presentation. Warm-up time.
I need to warm up. Look, look at this over.
Okay, good evening. Carl and I are going to walk you through a cost allocation plan, starting with a brief overview of what a cost allocation plan is, through the development, and finally the implementation. What a cost allocation plan is a document that identifies the costs provided by a central service department citywide to the other funds. It is then used to support reimbursement of those support services. The reimbursements are typically referred to as abatements and are made in the form of a transfer from the fund that is receiving the service to the fund that is performing the service. It is guided by the Federal Circular Office of Management and Budget, otherwise referred to as the OMB. Guidance by this department is important for receiving federal grant funding. Guidance is also provided by California State Controller's Office. The cost plan was first implemented in 1992-93, with reimbursements occurring 2 years later in 1994-95. Reimbursements were based on a percentage basis of the Central Service Department expenditure. We've made several changes since that time. In 1994-95, the Culture and Recreation Fund was added. In 2005-06, police services were determined to no longer be a central service department and were removed from the cost plan. In 2005-06, the reimbursement for support service was changed from the 2-year delay to a 1-year delay. And then finally, in 2010-11, the methodology of the reimbursement was changed from a percentage basis to a direct cost of the service provided within the document. And I'm going to turn it over to Paul now, and she will go with the development.
So when we first developed the cost allocation plan, what we do is we visit agencies, and then we would identify those departments that provide administrative support citywide. From that point, we meet with all of these identified departments, and we try to find out what are the key service areas or functions that they provide citywide. And examples would be like accounts payable or payroll. Those are some of the common ones. Once we identify those key service areas, what we want to do is determine what that cost for each of that service area is. So for example, if you had total expenditures for a finance department, you want to break it out into those service areas and get the cost for example, the payroll service. Once you would determine that cost for that particular function, such as payroll, you would want to determine an allocation base or some type of measure or statistic that you can use to allocate that cost to those that they're providing the service to. Again, an example for payroll would be such as full-time equivalents by a fund within the agency. And then what we would do is we would distribute those costs to those that are actually benefiting from the service. This here just shows you an example. It's a flow chart of a department. For example, there's finance, and then breaking it out into the key service areas. For this example purpose, we have fiscal affairs, cash receipts, accounts payable, and payroll. And then we go one step further, and then you'll see the allocation base or statistic that's used to actually cost out that service. So fiscal affairs would be, an example would be journal vouchers by department. Cash receipts by department. Payroll, like I mentioned, and be full-time equivalents by department. This here, what you see is a sample page from a summary Schedule A. And what you'll see, I'm sorry, it is kind of small, but really just wanted to emphasize that on the left side column, you'll see these are within the City of Galt. These are departments that were identified as those that provide administrative support citywide. All the items across the top, those are actually the departments or funds that are actually receiving that benefit or service. And it shows you a breakdown of costs allocated to each of those funds. Okay. I'm going to pass it back to Donna, and she's going to talk about the next steps after that plan is actually prepared.
Okay, once we receive the cost allocation plan back from Parl and we have the Schedule A, she also provides that in an Excel format. We drop in the prior year cost of service amounts and do an analysis on the increases and decreases between the years to ensure that there are reasonable changes. We then provide that worksheet to the departments of the central service departments anyway, and give them a chance to review it and meet with Carl to discuss and ask any questions about the plan. Once the plan is finalized, we then implement the costs into the budget into the subsequent year, and the transfers are shown in Schedule 4 and Schedule 5. Transfers are made monthly and are shown in the revenue and expenditure reports. And the report is also made available to the independent auditors for compliance with grant funding. And I believe that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Council, do you have any questions? Did you absorb all that? You ready for a test? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. Carl.
Okay, if you would read public comment, please.
Okay, under Government Code, Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the city clerk. Al Baldwin.
A little warm in here tonight. I hope our Elk Grove people don't think it's like this all the time now. It is a hot seat in here a lot of times, but tonight it's exceptionally warm. We have some great high school people in here. I'm going to do this in probably, gee, it can be almost 3 minutes already, possibly 2 minutes or less, because I'm going to read it this time. I have to read it to get it out that fast. Where will Galt be in 5 years from now? Will we have more homes in Galt? Will we have a hospital like Kaiser? Will we have more retail stores in Galt? Will we have a Twin Cities overpass? In 1,825 days, will Galt have changed? I would like to think our council will take a leadership role and start having community meetings to find out what the citizens would like to see. I think in 5 years the economy will be turned around, not like it was, but in a much better way. We have an out-of-the-box thinking city manager. That I like. But will our council start thinking what Galt can be and take a leadership role to make it happen? We are sitting on a town with a great opportunity, not a problem. I think it's time to pick ourselves up, brush ourselves off, and start thinking what we can be and will be. Thank you.
I think we're in the process of doing that, Al.
Thank you.
That's all the speakers should say.
Okay. Would you read the consent calendar, please?
We have 5 items tonight. The first one, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 21st, 2012. Number 2, approval of the City of Galt warrants. Number 3, which was pulled and will be discussed, extension of agricultural leased wastewater treatment plant. Number 4, award of fiber optic line installation project consultant agreement to iTerrace. And number 5, which was pulled and also will be discussed, resolution approving annual update to the City of Galt Emergency Operations Plan.
Okay. I will start off with item number 3, and I'd ask the city manager to go into that a little bit further, please.
Actually, turn the time over to our Public Works Director,
Okay.
Richard Prima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This issue with the lease extension is really not just about leasing property. It's about how we handle our wastewater, and more specifically our biosolids that are produced at our wastewater plant. For a little bit of history, and you may know it better than I do, but years ago, the city applied biosolids to the land itself using its own staff and vehicles and equipment on both the property that we own and the property that we leased from the Roman Catholic Bishop of Sacramento. As the city grew and we had more flow than we could really handle, we were putting lots of water on that land and lots of biosolids, to the point where we had to actually stop putting the biosolids on, and for a few years had to haul them all off at a significant cost, well in excess of $250,000 a year. I think it was closer to $300,000 a year for those few years. With our new permit now, we have the ability to again apply biosolids to our land, but also in that time frame of our new permit, we obtained a discharge permit, so we no longer needed the Bishop's property south of us. So that lease was terminated, and we are now just operating on our own property. We don't farm that property ourselves. We have a lease with a local farmer to do that operation. And that farmer also happens to be the tenant of the Roman Catholic Bishop for that property. So now we have a situation where we have one farmer with two different owners involved. The termination of the RCB lease also included provisions for restoring the land to the pre-lease conditions, which we are working with the owners on doing, with a few exceptions. We've agreed to continue to provide irrigation water, We've reactivated the wells they had on the site, but we've agreed to take tailwater. Formerly, that land drained to the south of Twin Cities Road. During the time when we put wastewater on it, we of course couldn't do that, so it was regraded so the water all stayed on the site and it went back to our plant. In this coming year, the excess water from irrigation, which is always tailwater from when you're irrigating, will continue to go back to our property. So we still have this relationship going on for some time until that property is restored, or we enter into a more permanent relationship with the bishop on that property for the tailwater. I know this doesn't sound like why this is all involved with the lease, but I'm going to paint the background here that it's not just a farming lease. This is really an operational issue for our wastewater facility. And in the coming year, we need to again start applying biosolids back to the land that we own. And we don't have all the details worked out as to how we're going to do that. We've worked with the current farmer, Mr. Mulrooney, to handle that for us, which compared to the days back when we were doing it ourselves, we anticipate is around a $6,000 a year cost savings to us if the farmer handles the biosolids, which really makes more sense because they're the ones farming the land. They have the right equipment to get out there and do the work on the land, not us. And so there is a cost savings to continue that type of an operation. They are still willing to pay us $1,500 a year for this coming year for the lease of the land. And of course, there's managing the irrigation, which again, on our land now, we are still using our effluent. So again, I really want to reiterate, this is not just a typical farming operation. It is really part of managing and operating the wastewater treatment facility. So the relationship between the city and that farmer is very critical. We acknowledge that they've been doing this for many years, and it is appropriate to essentially bid out that operation on a periodic basis. And we fully intend, basically are promising to you that we will do that this coming year, but we've really looked at trying to extend the lease for one more year to get us through this period where we're trying to figure all these things out. And I don't need to remind you, well, I will remind you, the turnover we've had in the operation out there has been an issue for us, and trying to make sure that we have the right things being done at the right time takes some staff with institutional memory, which we've lacked. So to throw on top of that, putting out a new bid at this time, we just felt wasn't appropriate. So we are recommending that the lease be extended. I've had a number of discussions with the staff about what we might look at in a new lease. I do have some experience in this area with my previous work. So we really need to work on putting together a set of specifications that we can have reviewed by not only Mr. Mulrooney, but other farmers in the area to look and see, do these make sense to you? Are they reasonable? Can you give us a fair bid to do this operation under those terms? That all takes time. So we intend to get started on that this coming summer. So we'll be in time to do it for the next growing season next year. We anticipate doing a multi-year lease with some options to renew and that sort of thing, and a few other possible changes. But we really are really not in a good position to go out and try to redo this whole operation right now. We have someone who's familiar with how we operate, and we would strongly recommend that we continue this for one more year, and then, as I said, go out to bid next year. That answer the questions you might have had?
Boy, more than what I wanted. And the reason I brought this forward is because we did have a citizen that brought this to our attention. They felt like it should go out to bid. And in fact, he did want to bid on it this year. So I felt like the council needed to have an opportunity to clarify why he didn't have an opportunity to bid on it. So thank you for that. Is there any other?
I had the same concerns, and I did talk to Jason about it. I just wanted a date in there. Jason told me that by September of this year, you're going to go out for another bid for it?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to have that in the record.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, I will move to approve the item.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers?
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously with one absent. Item number 5, is that?
Me.
Okay. Would you like to talk about that a little bit before we have Councilman Singleton ask his question?
It was just for discussion.
Before you tonight is a update of the annual Galt Emergency Operations Plan. What we have since the 1950s, when it was first required that the city of Galt develop a disaster plan, we have reviewed and updated this on an annual basis. In the early 70s, there was a process called ICS, Instant Command System, which was taken in as far as how you handle and respond to any kind of emergencies, how you set up the staff and responding agencies, fire department, police department, public works. That system stayed in effect till roughly 2005, when the Homeland Security and Presidential Directive number 5 came into being, which said that we'd be changing from what we called SIMS to NIMS, which would be the National Incident Management System. In reviewing what we have today, there were 7 updates that needed to be made as far as this process, one of those being to outline NIMS, the National Incident Management System 2010, to the current operations system, along with some other minor things such as a clear chain of command was changed and added to be a designee of the city manager, and some other systems like that, and removed the names associated with what I mentioned earlier, the ICMS system. And we have in fact taken this to the Public Safety Commission on, I believe it was the 26th or the 23rd of January, and they reviewed and approved all the things before you this evening.
Okay, Councilman Singleton, any comments?
Yes, I pulled this because I don't know if any of our citizens are aware, this is a very thick plan, a lot of technical stuff in there. So I didn't want to go without saying this to be passed without letting our citizens know how hard it is to go through this. And thank our Galt Police Department, also Sergeant Craig Walton. He spent many hours on this. Also our CSD and also the Public Safety Committee, because they took the time also to see that this was passed because it needed to be done. I'm sorry, the changes need to be done in our ELP and updated. That's all. I wanted to make sure the right people were recognized for there's a lot of hard work. Thank you, guys. I motion that we pass this.
Okay.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers? Aye. Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously with one absent. Is there a motion for the remainder of the consent calendar?
Move to approve the remainder of the consent.
Second. We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers? Aye. Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed. 4 with one absent. Okay. The next item, please.
Next item, we go down to the City Council's office, Youth Committee student members. Mayor Payne?
Okay. You know, I have to say that it's a little intimidating seeing all of these students out there. Are you trying to occupy City Hall?
Don't open that door.
I would say, though, I don't know if any of you were involved, that I did ask some of the students at Galt High School to tell me what they would do if they were mayor. And I got some really great letters and some really great ideas. And I was a little concerned that maybe you were all coming tonight to speak individually to tell me what you would do as mayor. And I'm relieved to know that you didn't fill out those speaker sheets. But I do want you to know that you are certainly welcome to be here. And as far as the Youth Committee student members, we have 4 vacancies that we voted on last night at the Youth Committee, and I would like to introduce them, and I would like to first read a little bit from their application because I thought they were impressive, and I thought these 4 students were very impressive as well. The first one is from Rosita Treviso. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And I'm not going to read everything, just a little bit, and I don't mean to embarrass you.
Should we have her raise her hand so we know who she is? Is she here?
Well, I thought you know, it's embarrassing.
Oh.
So I thought I'd wait till the end, and if they're here, they could all stand up together.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's okay. One opportunity that I hope to have while serving on this committee is to be able to help on increasing more participation in our community. I would also love to gain a greater knowledge on how the city runs and the politics that go along with it, since I plan to entering in the field of political science in the future. And I hope we can have a talk about that. But the other thing she said is, which I believe we all believe as council members, is I believe that I can make a difference. So that was Rosita's. The next one is from Natalie Gerardo, I think I pronounced that correctly. And I had the pleasure of interviewing her, and what I got from her is her concern about the environment. She's just ready to go out and clean out Dry Creek and look at all the little critters and wiggly things that occupy that creek. But she does have a real concern about the environment, and she's willing to roll up her sleeves and do something about it. Cole Kuntz, who is a 10th grader at Liberty High School. He wrote that the committee would allow me to step out of my comfort circle, which would give me more confidence in all aspects of my life. It would allow me to contribute ideas and discuss the various issues facing our community candidly. I would enjoy meeting new people, such as students from other schools and community leaders. I want to be on this committee to better my community. Okay. And then Alexis Rivas, who is 11th grader at Galt High School. She said she would like to participate in possibly making changes so that we could help the next generation of kids to want to join in the community like this. And I thought it was, and I know Alexis, and I thought it was impressive that she's, as young as she is, she's already thinking about the next generation. So I think she'll be a great member of our youth committee. And if any of you are here, I would love for you to stand up now together one time. Okay, the girls are here. Okay. Thank you very much for coming tonight. And I hope the other two will come maybe to the next council meeting. I gave them a very short notice because we just voted last night. So I'm sure you all came to support your students, and I appreciate that very much. At this time, the City Council is required to approve the appointment of these 4 students. I would like to make the motion to do so, and
I'll second.
I got a second. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers.
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz.
Aye.
Mayor Payne.
Aye. You are now part of the Galt City Council Youth Committee, and we expect great things from you. Thank you.
And congratulations.
Next item, please.
Next item, we adjourn.
No communication? Then we will adjourn from the regular council meeting to the General Habitat Foundation.
Okay. I have no speaker sheets.
Did I say general?
Was the Galt, let me read it so we say it right here. The Galt Habitat Foundation meeting. So I'm going to call roll, I'm sorry. Board members Powers.
Here.
Singleton.
Here.
Shelton. Cruz.
Here.
Payne.
Here.
Now I have no speaker sheets.
No public comment?
No public
Okay.
comment. Okay, let me read.
Would you
Item?
please? Yes.
First item, the first meeting of the Galt Habitat Foundation and adoption of resolution approving documents to complete the formation of the foundation and establish its tax-exempt status, approving support services agreement with the City of Galt, and accepting conservation easement.
Good evening,
Okay,
Mayor.
City Attorney, we turn it over to you.
That was a very long statement, wasn't it? Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight is the completion of a process that the council started back in 2007 when the council bought 70 acres adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant. And this property was purchased to serve as habitat for the Swainson's hawk. Many of the city projects that we're undertaking, such as the interchange project and the Walker Park, eliminated foraging habitat for the Swainson's hawk, and so these 70 acres are part of the mitigation for the loss of that other land. In June of 2011, the City Council adopted the Swainson's hawk mitigation plan, and this is a document that set out how this 70 acres was intended to be maintained and preserved in perpetuity. And in addition to the tasks required of the city under that document, there was the requirement for another entity called a monitoring entity to take a conservation easement and basically to have oversight and ensure that the city was doing what it's supposed to do as it relates to preserving this land. Now, there was a couple of options as it relates to who would be the monitoring entity. One approach was to hire a nonprofit entity at an annual cost to perform that function. Another option was for the city to perform or to form its own nonprofit entity in order to save money on an annual basis to serve in this role. And that is the path that the council chose to take in October of 2011 and directed staff to move forward with the formation of the nonprofit agency, which is the Galt Habitat Foundation. Tonight is the first meeting of the Galt Habitat Foundation, and since it is the first meeting, there's quite a few housekeeping issues that we need to take care of this evening. Now, unfortunately, try as I might, I could not make these items very exciting. So I'll do my best to run through them quickly. The items are listed in a resolution that is in your packet. There's also a revised resolution that was passed out this evening that has just some very minor clerical revisions in mostly in paragraph or in section 10 of that resolution. So the first item that we need to take care of this evening is the ratification of the Articles of Incorporation. As with any corporation, we are required to have these articles. The City Council adopted these articles back in October, and they were filed with the Secretary of State in December, and that was actually when the Galt Habitat Foundation came into existence. And so the resolution that is before you this evening ratifies these Articles of Incorporation. The second item is the ratification of the bylaws. This is the second document that actually was adopted by the City Council back in October. The bylaws are also in your packet this evening, and by adopting the resolution before you tonight, you would be ratifying these bylaws. The third item is the acceptance of appointment to the board. Since the clerk has already called the roll, you probably have already defaulted into that, but what the bylaws provide is that the members of the City Council will serve as the directors of the Galt Habitat Foundation. And so unless there's any objections by individual council members, when you do adopt the resolution tonight, you will be accepting your appointment as the director of the foundation. There are also officers of the foundation. The chairperson of the board is the mayor. The president of the foundation is the city manager. The vice president is the community development director. Secretary is the clerk. Chief financial officer is the finance director. Treasurer is the city treasurer. And general counsel is the city attorney. The bad news about these appointments, both as directors and as officers of the corporation, is that there's no money involved. There's no compensation for these jobs. So we're all doing it out of the graciousness of our hearts. The next item is ratification of agent for service of process. Every corporation is required to have an agent for service of process in the event that somebody wants to sue the foundation. The city clerk serves as the agent for the city and will also serve as agent for the foundation. The next item, ratification of actions taken to obtain an employer identification number. This is the first step to get tax exempt status, and that form was already submitted to the Internal Revenue Service by myself, so the resolution before you this evening would ratify the actions that I've already taken to obtain that number. The next item is an application for tax exempt status. And there's a form that we need to file with the IRS, and then there's also a form that we file with the State Franchise Tax Board. Both of those forms are in your packet this evening, and this resolution would authorize the filing of both of those forms. Item 8 is a conflict of interest and compensation checklist. While the IRS does not require the adoption of a conflict of interest policy to obtain tax exempt status, it encourages the adoption of such a policy. And whenever the IRS encourages us to do something, we usually follow their lead. And so that policy is in your packet this evening, and basically it's very similar to the conflict of interest policy that you adhere to as city council members. And basically it means is that if the foundation is going to enter into a contract or a deal and you have a financial interest in that deal, then you need to disclose that interest and step aside from the transaction. It doesn't replace the conflict of interest code that you're required to adhere to as council members, and it's not more stringent than the code that you already are required to comply with. Item 9 is a statement of information. This is a form that's required to be filed with the Secretary of State under the Corporations Code. The form has already been filed, and by adopting the resolution tonight, you'll be ratifying the filing of that document. Item 10 is an establishing bank accounts. This particular item would authorize the Chief Financial Officer, the Finance Director, to establish a bank account in the event that the foundation ultimately needs to have a bank account to transact business, and further authorizes the Treasurer, the CFO, the President, or the Chairperson, two of those individuals, to sign checks. And this is consistent with the city policy relating to the execution of checks. Item 11 is a support services agreement. This is a document that was already approved by the city, and what this agreement provides is that the foundation agrees to perform the duties assigned to it under the Swainson's Habit Management Plan in exchange for the city providing the foundation with support services such as employee services and office space. And so the city's approved that agreement. Tonight the foundation will be approving that agreement. Item 12 is a conservation easement. And this is where the city is granting to the foundation an easement over the 70 acres, and it's by virtue of that easement that the foundation gains control over what happens on these 70 acres. Item 13, authorization of officers to execute documents. This basically says that you're authorizing officers of the foundation to execute any documents and take any further actions necessary to implement the multitude of items that I've just gone over above in this resolution. And lastly, to the extent that there's any actions that have been taken to form this foundation, which I've not specifically mentioned, item 14 is your ratification of those prior acts by members of staff. The next meeting of the board of this foundation will be on September 4th. The foundation is required to meet 2 times a year. So the next meeting is September 4th during the City Council meeting. So with that lengthy presentation, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board members may have. And if you do not have any questions, I'd recommend and present for your adoption this evening the revised resolution.
Are there any questions from the council or comments, concerns?
Move we accept the resolution as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. Roll call vote, please.
For adoption of the resolution, Vice Mayor Powers.
Aye.
Board Member Powers.
Aye.
Singleton.
Aye.
Cruz.
You have to get used to that, aren't you? Aye.
Okay.
Aye. So the resolution is passed unanimously with 1 absentee.
Thank you.
We will now reconvene to the Galt City Council, the regular Galt City Council meeting. And I would ask for the city clerk's report.
A few reminders. The Planning Commission meeting will be on March 8th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. The Parks and Recreation Commission meeting will be March 14th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. On March 15th, the Beautification Committee has been canceled. And that takes us to our next council meeting. And just for everybody in the audience, if you're interested in filling a vacancy on one of our many committees, we do have some openings. Our Measure R committee terms are up, so we're always looking for letters of interest on Public Safety Committee, Beautification Committee. We're very interested, and I'd love for anybody to contact me if they would like to get involved.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will go to comments by staff. Any comments, City Manager? You've been awfully quiet tonight.
You sure have, yeah.
First meeting I haven't had to say anything in a while. I'm enjoying it. No,
So are we.
we do have a number of youth sports and things going on right now that are open for registration. A lot of our aquatics programs and things are open. Also for the students in the audience, Walker Park, the athletic field there, the artificial turf is now open for anybody to use on Sundays, and then during the rest of the week it's used for the various leagues, soccer leagues, football, and so forth. So, but if somebody wants to go out and kick the ball around, it's available on Sundays.
Is that every Sunday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless it's otherwise reserved for a tournament or something.
Okay, because I thought it was going to be every other Sunday, but so it's every Sunday.
Every Sunday, right, Monday? Yeah, every Sunday.
Any other comments from staff? Okay, we will go to comments by council, and I'll start with Vice Mayor Powers.
Now, Jason, you know I'm only kidding. I was just trying to lighten up the place a little bit here.
It's a bit heavy tonight.
Yeah, it's a little hot in here and heavy and all kinds of stuff. There is one thing I wanted to bring up, being that we're in the process of doing the budget. I know that there's a SOFCOM lease on the water tower, and we generally give a $10,000 grant to an organization, a nonprofit organization in this town. I would like to really look into opening it up and having competitive bids for what to do with that money, because we do have a lot of nonprofits in this town and we are facing a crisis. I would like to see the money spread around, and I'd like to see if staff could just come back and tell me what that would kind of entail, if that's to the pleasure of the rest of the City Council.
Okay with you? Okay with you? Okay with you?
Yes.
I think so. I think we're all.
Yeah, so we'll bring back a report that'll describe exactly what the Vice Mayor indicated. We'll take that $10,000 and have a process where groups could submit proposals for the council to consider, and then the council could determine through the budget process where to allocate those funds, whether it's to one organization or to multiple organizations.
Great. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to say it's good to be back. Like Dorothy said, there's no place like home.
From someone that just got back from Costa Rica?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Councilman Singleton.
Yes, there's a couple of things. I'd like to have us bring back Galt City communities or committees for recruitment, retention, and being a volunteer for our next meeting. And also want to bring back our aggressive solution ordinance, and then also want to get the council's approval to use some of my discretionary funds, and details will be to follow at our next meeting.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's enough.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Councilman Cruz.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. The only thing I'm going to say...
Can I just, I didn't catch all three of those things that the council member talked about. What was the first one?
It's
committee on...
The committee, it's called, we're kind of, the Galt City committees. We want to go through the recruitment, how to recruit, retention, and how to be a volunteer for the committees here in Galt.
Oh, for all the city council committees?
Yeah.
Are you talking?
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
And then aggressive solicitation, that ordinance that was passed by council last year.
Yes.
And then...
And using some of my discretionary funds.
Discretionary funds, got it. Okay.
Got it?
That's all we need, yep.
Okay.
And thanks for
Sure.
the Planning Commission meets at 6:30, not 6 o'clock. Thank you.
I just want to take this opportunity to say I was sort of saying in jest, talking about the letters from our high school students. But I thought I would share some of what they put in those letters because I want you to know that your voice is heard. Plus, we want you to get used to, as you become older members of the community, to continue to let your voice be heard. So, the number one item that I got out of a whole stack of letters was they want a movie theater here. And it is actually something that we are working on very hard to accomplish. Then I think the number two item was they wanted more shopping, which we are also working on. And then there were some miscellaneous things like we want a bigger skateboard park and more things to do. But then there were some serious concerns which I have shared with our chief of police about safety, concern about gangs and crime in the community. And I feel that we have a very safe community, but it's always something that we have to continue to work at. And it was interesting to hear from nearly every single one of you out there that that was a concern you had too. So I do appreciate your taking the time to letting us hear from you, and I hope you will continue to do it. If there are no other items, I will call this meeting adjourned. And thank